What's happening, guys? Welcome back. So in this one we're going to do something a little different again. Now you all know him from previous videos, but what we're going to do is going to have a bit of a tour and a bit of a chat with Rich from Maine Automotive and find out what they're all about. No messing around, let's get going. Here we are then, in a unit with Rich. Let's sit down, ask a few questions and find out a little bit more about Maine Automotive and what it's all about. So, something a little bit different to what the channel is used to, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy this one. But, yeah, Rich is my next door neighbour at the farm, and we haven't really known each other for that long, have we? It's been
3 months.
3 months, and apparently we're now inseparable. So yeah, we thought we'd sit down. Friends. Sit down and do just a bit of a chat through and yeah, find out what Maine's all about. It's a bit of a new business. So yeah, let's have a bit of a chat, find out what it's all about. So, first question, and it's a question I asked you because, and then it's the first question anyone asks you as well. Where did the name Maine Automotive come from?
Okay, so my nickname is Casper because generally I'm quite white. The lights may make me look a bit flusher, but no, I'm quite white. So my nickname was Casper and I've been called Casper for 20 years. Maine is where Casper is from in America, as in the cartoon character, the Friendly Ghost. That is where he's from, that's where Maine comes from.
Very clever, not just your initials.
I will say it was the wife's side there, because if I don't say that, I'm shocked.
Cool. How did Maine come about? Where did it all come from and why did you start it up?
So, since I was about 15, my dad bought me, I had an XR2i, because I was a devil child. So the XR2i was to try and play with in the garage and stop me going out and doing things that I shouldn't be doing at the age of 15, which we won't talk about. I ended up having 3 at one point, and a 309 GTI in Miami Blue. Started working on them, pulling them to bits, putting them back together, and you know, the kind of normal stuff. And
just grew from that. Yeah,
and then it kind of grew on from that. I carried on kind of doing that, building cars, etc. Built a called Rennie 5 that won Best in Show at French Car Show in 2016, and it progressed. And then ended up being a mechanic, because that's always where my passion's been anyway, with cars and stuff. Was a mechanic, had loads of mental health problems, the same as what you have. And yeah, talk is all I'll say about
that. 100% talk.
Had loads of problems, got to a real low point in August last year, stepped away from what I was doing then, which was a mechanic, and then every penny I had, I kind of just chucked into this, hoping that it would work. And now I'm here.
You're not doing bad.
Which is a year. Maine's been running for a year, nearly a year to the day. Started off at home, rapidly ran out of room, and then bought this place. Well, rented this place.
It's looking trick from the drops we've always put up. Obviously, it's looking a hell of a lot better. Nice little office and plenty of space for toys.
Mostly down to all of your hard work though as well. All joinery.
Well, that was a pair of hands to help you put it up. Yeah, it looks good. It looks a hell of a lot better than it ever did before, because this is the unit that I actually very first started on. And it didn't look anything like this. It was literally, it was still a chicken building.
It was a dive.
Still a chicken building when I was in it.
It was a two-storey dive.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a nice little unit. I think it showcases the stock really well. So, moving on from that, what do Maine Automotive do?
Predominantly when I started, it was mostly sales. That's kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to buy the best ones that you could kind of find, sell them on. Obviously making a little bit of money, because that is how I make my money.
Yeah.
And you kind of find the ones that are the better ones out of the bunch. And yeah, but the sales side is quite slow at times.
Yeah.
And you kind of, with being a mechanic, I've got asked a few times to do various bits and bobs, engine builds and Cosworths and stuff like that. And then now I've got the space that's now been integrated into what I'm doing now with the sales. The list can just go on.
Everything and anything.
Yeah, for days.
What was the draw to modern classics, and why not classics or just new cars?
Nostalgia. I think it's the easiest way of putting it. Poster car when you were a kid. A lot of people had Lambos, Ferraris.
I want that.
All that, yeah.
Cosworth.
My wall was RS 500 touring cars, Cosworths, that kind of realm of car, and that's the era that I'm from and the era that I grew up in. So when you were 18, 19, you're driving around in RS turbos and all that jazz. And then the passion's just stayed there, and it's new cars, yeah, they're alright. I mean, you'll see in a bit, there's an Evo sat in there that's having some work done. It's a cool car.
They're not quite the same though.
It's not got that nostalgia feel. It drives well and does everything you want it to, whereas they don't drive well and they don't do what you want them to, and most of the time they're broke.
But you've still got a massive
part of the enjoyment of it as well is owning stuff like that that you can just sit there and think, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
New stuff. I mean, your ST is a good little car.
Yeah, but it's not.
But it works. It does everything you want it to, and it kind of takes the little joy out of it.
Is it going to get around this lap without braking?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. They're. I get it, 100%.
I don't like the fact that now with newer stuff, especially VAG stuff and that orientation of car, everything has to be plugged in.
It's a nightmare.
You can't do anything without. Oh, open my laptop up and have a look to see what's actually going on.
Yeah, no, it's a shame that's the way it's going, and
it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, it's only going to get worse. And the thing, the cars that you've got now they are already, and they're just going to keep going north, and because they're not going to make them again.
No, they'll just keep creeping up. I think when it's a difficult subject to talk about, but I think when the whole electric thing fully comes into play and all that kind of jazz, where are they going to be?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, people have got a lot of money selling them cars, and they've soared massively recently, and they have kind of, in my view, not everybody's, they have capped a little bit.
Yeah.
They won't drop back.
No.
They'll hold their value, and I don't think they'll have a massive surge in price. They'll keep creeping. They might do when the whole 2030 electric.
Which that's another discussion, and I've got a lot of views on that, and it can't happen. The infrastructure of the UK and things that you read, it's
a very varied view between even what you'd believe in and what I believe in and what the viewers believe in. That you could talk about talk about it for days. Yeah,
to talk about your bloody face and still not getting over it. Yeah, best to leave that one for now. What would you say was your ultimate modern classic?
Escort Cosworth.
Yeah.
If I'm blunt, it probably it does drive the worst out of all of the Cosses. A SAF, two-wheel drive SAF, drives better. There is always something iconic about them and their styling and what they stood for at the time, and they were the last of that breed of car. Yeah. And they'll always hold a special place.
I agree with that. And that car's an absolutely stunning car. Leading on from that then, what is the ultimate no money car that you would buy?
Ultimate no money car? To be honest, still staying slightly... No, you would call it a modern classic. You would. A 997 GT3 RS.
Wasn't expecting that.
Would be, without any money. With all the money in the world to play with, 997 GT3 RS.
Could be a fun little car to track as well.
Yeah, you know it.
What has been your favourite car that you've had in stock and sold on?
Favourite car? That one. By probably quite a margin. Well, not quite a margin. Because we've had 209 40,000 mile concourse SAFs.
Yeah.
Stunning cars, absolute stunning cars, but they're alright.
Quite an Escort.
They're alright to sit there as a showroom piece.
Yeah.
Don't really want to use them.
No.
Whereas that, as clean as that car is, the guy that owns that car now, it gets driven properly. I think is the nicest way of putting it. It gets driven hard. Really.
The way that they should be used, the way that they're designed and built to be used.
Exactly as it should be.
And not just sat and not put any miles on.
Yeah, it gets used hard. And
then it breaks and it gets fixed.
Yeah, which is just a cycle.
What the hell?
He's used to it. Yeah. He just throws money at it like it's confetti. Yeah. But yeah, no, it
is a stunning car.
It is a nice car. Yeah, it is. It really is.
And it's done nicely. It's not too over the top or anything. It's a nice car. Probably the way I built it.
Well, I've got around it, but...
Yeah, we'll go for a quick walk around it a bit. Going all the way back then, which I think we've already touched on, your very first car was on the road.
Right. It wasn't actually a car.
Right.
It was a van. It was a Citroen C15, and it had a one-spoke steering wheel. If you cornered, it gets worse. If you cornered too hard in it, it'll bend, and you can only put half tank diesel in it because the cap on them sits literally like just to the side of the back wheel, and it used to leak. So if you went round a roundabout too quick in it, and it had too much diesel in it, it'd go over the back wheel and spin it around. That was the first, the first vehicle I had was a van, and then after that I had some blue polo thing that I basically put the cheapest coilovers I could, slammed it,
as we all do,
put little 13-inch P slots on it, and ended up wearing the drive shaft into the chassis leg because it constantly knocked, and it snapped the drive shaft in it.
We all know best as kids, don't we? What's the cheapest way of doing it, and let's just break.
I could have just cut the springs, but I did go one better. Got the cheapest coilovers I could. Yeah.
Where do you see yourself and Maine Automotive in the next 10 years?
Good question. I'm quite comfortable with where I am, because when I originally started, my kind of aim was to sell one a month, pay the mortgage, and just be comfortable. But that kind of rapidly grew faster than I physically thought it would. To a point, well, here, because I just ran out of space. I rented the guys next door, double garage, ran out of space there, so here. I'd quite like to have some cool cars in to come, to work on and that kind of stuff, and to have a race car.
Which we'll talk about.
We'll talk about that, but I'm quite comfortable where I am. Just if I could have a nice steady stream of cars. I don't really want to employ anybody. I quite like working for myself and doing my own thing on my own time.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, not the same thing, but I obviously have the business before and joiner business, whatever, and people just go chasing that. They want to talk down the pub that I've got 10 employees and we did this and we did that.
They want to chase money.
And it's just chasing money. It's just stress. After going through what I've gone through, what you've gone through as well, being happy, comfortable, and being able to do what you want to do is more important than chasing money and having massive businesses.
I mean, I never make massive money on any of these cars, because I'll always try to obviously buy them at the right price. I'll pay good money for them, and then yes, I will add a bit. That's
the way that business works.
That's how business works.
And unfortunately, a lot of people on the internet don't understand that
you got VAT to pay, tax to pay, this place. It adds up, and no matter how clean someone says a car is, I guarantee that I will still have to do something to it when it comes in. Even it's the simplest thing like detailing it, but there's still a few hundred quid getting someone's detail.
And that's where I went to look at a car with a friend the other day, a little Clio, and it was a Clio RS200. So it looked a nice car in the images. You got there, the bloke had come out the auction and it was upset. He'd not touched it. It was horrendous, and he was asking good money for it. Where the plenty you go to are cleaning it. And
that is what your typical. I'll be careful how I say this, but that is what your typical dealer is like, which is what I don't want to be. Because at the end of the day, I've been stung on cars when I've bought cars, even well before this, and I don't want to be that person because my reputation is everything to me.
Yeah.
And it only takes me to sell one Dove car
Yeah.
for it then to come back and it then is negative on me.
Which is the way that it should be. It's the way that it should be, the way that people should sell stuff. But unfortunately people don't.
No, there's a lot of dishonest people out there. Yeah. I think we'll leave that one.
We'll leave that on there. So, leading on to one of the last questions. Maine's predominantly known for road cars. Why is there a race car sat on the road?
Well, technically, hang on. There's technically 2 race cars in there.
There's technically 2 race cars in there.
That's your fault.
Yeah, right, I'll take
that is fully your fault.
Fully my fault.
Can you take me to Mallory Park? I got asked. Yeah, of course I can, mate. Not a problem. Oh, mate, do you want to have a go? Have a go. That's it. So now, race car's been bought, race suit's been bought, helmet's been bought, shoes have been bought, and everything else to go with it.
You should have seen the size of the grin on his face when he came back after them few laps at Mallory though.
You've cost me a fortune.
But it's a race car.
Yeah, and me being me, I've just literally gone, and everything's just gone out there. It was only a cheap race car.
It is cheap, and we'll have a look around it. I mean, for the money, that is a cracking.
It's a good base to build something off.
Paid the right money, and it just needs a bit of tidying and cleaning, and it'll be a nice car. Cool. So, should we have a quick walk around and have a chat through what you've got in stock and what you've got going on? So out in the workshop, we've got some pretty nice stock, and it's got a very nice looking office with an absolutely stunning little motorbike sat in there, which is parked in here because it's clean, and my workshop is never clean.
That will be for sale soon.
It will be for sale soon. It will be for sale soon once we've got it finished and sorted out. But first motor we'll come to then is your favourite car you've ever sold.
Yeah.
And there's this absolutely stunning Escort Cosworth, which has got a few upgrades on it.
As a short rundown, because I'm not going to go fully to town with what it's got, because the spec on it's massive. Short run, it's originally a small turbo car, and from that, it's Nick Seal liners, 10 studded, genuine RS 500 inlet, genuine RS 500 T4, loads of other trick bits. She made 498, I think, last time it got mapped. But talking back from what we were talking about earlier, about the guy that owns it, drives it hard, he has got a box in it. So at the minute, it's got no gearbox in it, because that's gone back to Barra to be rebuilt. And from that, it's having, the box is being done, saying upgrade your front diff, put back in it, thick wall, 7.5 inches going in the back with a 6-degree rear beam. It's going on more modern management because it is still running on Pectel management. So it's going on link, coil on plug, bug turbo, that's coming off, different inlet, just to make it a bit more drivable, because it's quick, but it is massively laggy at the minute. And he wants to kind of just rein it back a bit, but make it more drivable, but she will still always run around the 500 horse mark and get hammered, because that's what it does with it.
Which is the way that it should be driven and the way that they should be treated. And then on to the next one, which is the other race car that's sat in here. Where has this come from?
It is actually for sale, for the record, so if anyone's interested in it. Right, so I bought it with the full intention on building it as a track car. Costs went quick, up fast, very quickly. I got offered good money for the engine that I built for it, and a few other little bits and bobs, so they all got sold, and then that's pretty much what's left. It is a full Group A setup, Group A billet hubs, blade down to roll bar, Group A rear box beam, Alcon 6 bolts that aren't on it in a minute because these brackets making. But yeah, it's basically a full Group A, road legal, and it is on an age-related plate. Escort Cosworth.
Would have been an absolute monster. But with
these set up to run a super rear diff in the back beam and everything as well, because that's what it was going to run.
But with these Cosworths, they just start to get a bit expensive, don't they, when you're starting to do things to that level.
It will make an absolutely awesome car for someone if they've got the time and money to finish it.
So if you're interested, Put a link in the description. Get in contact. That one is for sale. So is this car here, which I drove, and it's amazing. So much fun to drive. It was only around the block, but yeah, it's a hell of a lot of fun to drive.
That is actually a late registered two-wheel drive, because there is only 3 that I know of that are on H plates. Fully original panel car. It's got a few little modifications, but it's only got stage 1 chip on it. It's pretty standard. It's got a massive history folder with it. Massive history folder dating back to when it was new, every single MOT. It's even still got the 4 sticker in the boot when they were released. They used to have like the reg and VIN number and spec and stuff. That's still in there. You can't really read it, but it's still there. Yeah, obviously it's in paint, most of them have, but it is a massively original car, and it is really, really clean as well. It's clean underneath. Yeah, that's for sale as well, so hit me on.
And moving on to, I love these little cars. I absolutely love these little cars. We've got a nice little 106 GTI.
It's actually my mate's, this is. It's come into a few little bits and bobs done on it. It runs quite rich. We think one of the injectors is a bit iffy in it, so they're coming out to be tested. Yeah, it's actually quite a high spec car, because it's all engines, high compression pistons, and all been built. It made 145, 147 horse, mate.
And what we had it on the weigh bridge. What did it weigh? It weighed, was it about 900 kilos or something?
About 890 or 900.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot at all. So.
But really, really clean car. Low owner car. It's done decent mileage, and it's due at 6 over 200. Jack, if you're watching, you need to use it more, because he only does. I think last MOT he did about 50 miles or 100 miles in it. He just doesn't use it. It's a really, really clean car. I think that's going to come in over the windtop just for storage. Just so it's got a bit of space on it.
Stop messing about and get yourself booked on that track day.
15.
Yeah, get booked. It needs to come out and play. And we've got another Sapphire in here as well, which I love the wheels. I think the wheels are well nice, and the 500 splitter on it, they just look cool. This isn't for sale, this is a customer's car.
This is a customer's car. Yeah, he uses this hard, and I mean hard, and it lives outside. So it's a clean car, but it is a little bit round the edges. It's all solid, so I've had it a fair few times now to do work on it. Various bits and bobs, done an head gasket on it. It's back again to have loads of bushes changed underneath. Gearbox has got to come out because the rear main seal leaks. There's loads of little niggles with it, but she's 30-year-old, so...
That's the thing that people have to remember. These cars are 30-year-old, lived through the 90s.
Had 30 years worth of bodges when they were cheap and people couldn't afford to fix them, which is what was half the problem with that in the first place. It had loads of little bodges on it that we've sorted out, and yeah, the head gasket went on it, so then and we ended up putting a new rad in it and various other little bits and bobs. Redid the fan wiring loom on it. It's all stupid little stuff. All stupid little stuff with it. It's a tidy car, but so it does live outside, which most people go, oh, but he uses it, which is how it should be.
What should be done.
Yeah, it's how they should be. It needs to be used, and he does use it.
Nice. And I suppose, should we have a chat about what you're leaning on? Let's get it down and have a chat.
Race car.
The car that's my fault.
It is all your fault.
That it's here.
The whole reason why it's here in the first place.
Is a little 2004 Fiesta St 150, and it is full blown little race car, fully caged, the whole lot. Yeah, I mean, it's had a bit of a life, hasn't it? To say the least.
It's slightly rough.
But it's a perfect little base.
Yeah, it wants some tidying up. I mean, mechanically, we'll get it right, because at the minute...
Yeah, it's been giving us a few problems, hasn't it?
It doesn't run that well. It keeps just putting itself in limp mode, which we're slowly addressing the issues that were done on it by previous people. I.e. there was no lamber in it, it was just dangling there.
They've just ripped everything out of the car.
Everything out of it.
ABS, EGR, all the sense, it's just, there was nothing there, and it was just
So we're slowly
Not
going
very
through
happy.
them little bits and bobs to address the running issue. Get it mechanically sound. We'll use it for a few track days, and then put it to bits. I want to build a new engine for it, just so it's fresh with a set of cams in it and decent inlet and stuff.
Which is what this is over here that came with it. It got another engine with the car, and upon inspection, it was taken out because there was damage, and upon inspection you can see here on every piston it's met every single valve in the head. So that's why it's all stripped apart on here, ready to sort everything out and get it sorted, get it rebuilt, and try and get a little bit more power out of this little track car, aren't you?
Yeah, 200 horse, 190, 200 horse. Keep it as light as possible because it does only weigh about 1,000 kilos at the minute. Paint the inside, because that and the cage and stuff, because someone's rattle canned half of it with.
And not prepped it, and then it's rubbed off in places.
And some of it's white, hand painted hammerite, a bit like the engine bay.
We did also spot as well, which is quite nice, that the passenger seat, where they'd welded the brackets in for the passenger seat, it's actually ripped the welds out of the floor because it wasn't welded into any chassis, was it? It was into 1 mil floor. So yeah,
there's a few bits like that. But it's got gripper plate diff in it, KWs, adjustable top mounts, it's on 205 width tyres. It's got some cool bits on it.
It's going to be a wicked little car.
With the right money, it just, yeah, it wants a bit of love.
It'll be interesting to see what it's like on the 15th.
Yeah, it'll get there.
We'll get there. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. And then we've got one more little car to go through, which is this Evo 10, is it? Which are nice cars, and this is extremely loud.
It's very loud. Yeah. It does have some slight gearbox issues, which I believe is the mechatronic unit. However, there could be other issues with it with the math because it keeps trying to stall when it stops. So that's just come in to have a bit of a diagnosis and play through kind of what it could be and trial and error with it and play about with it and see if we can get it to behave as it should, which it's not at the minute, and it's been troublesome for quite a while. But we shall get there with it eventually.
Nice car, very, very nice car. So, that's Maine Automotive, what they're all about. You've all finally been introduced to Rich properly as well, because you've featured in quite a lot of videos now.
I'm always there in the background.
The silent guy in the background.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've all finally met him, and yeah, we're excited for what's sort of coming in the future. And being next door, we've got some pretty exciting projects going on or whatever. And yeah, hopefully you'll
build some cool stuff.
Build some cool stuff. Have a lot of fun. You guys will see him a lot more on the channel. But I think we've gone through everything we wanted to go through. So
if you need any work,
hit him up.
Classics. I'm not going to say where the location is for obvious reasons, but we are south of Leicestershire.
Yeah, I'll put all the links to all of his social medias down in the description. So yeah, go and give him a follow. If you need any work doing on anything like this, or you're interested in buying a modern classic, or even selling a modern classic, hit Rich up. I'm sure you can come up with a deal. So we should leave that one there then, guys. Until next time, enjoy.